Hello again guys, hope we're all well. Got another wild camp and walk combo planned for you. I'm in Iken, to be precise, Iken Cliff. The River Alde is behind me, which is in Suffolk again. And we're doing another walk out of the Pathfinder Suffolk's walk book. That one again. And let me see, it is Iken and Tunstall Forest. The start is at Snake Maltings, but I'm actually at Iken Cliff picnic ground because went to Snake Maltings and the car park's banged out. It's really busy and I doubt I can leave the car there overnight, whereas this should be alright here. It's an 8-mile walk, 3.5 hours, and I'm going to try and wild camp in Tunstall Forest, which is on the route, part of the Suffolk Sandlins walk. And you might be able to see, here's the car, got my Osprey OEX Valo 35 litre rucksack, taking that out for a change. A bit of an OEX themed video this is going to be. I've got my OEX hoodie on, got the rucksack, got my OEX waterproof jacket on the roof of the car there. I've got over trousers by them, and my shelter choice is going to be that OEX bush tarp as well, and just an Alpkit bivvy bag, so hopefully that'll be suitable for the forest. So there's a nice view over the picnic area and out to the River Alde in the distance. You're going to want Ordnance Survey 212, Woodbridge in Saxmundham, Aldborough and Framlingham as your OS map to accompany the book. So yeah, I'm going to get the rucksack on and we're going to get moving. Okay, I've just weighed the pack. Total pack weight's coming in at just under 12 kilos, which is quite a lot for me. So, but at the moment it feels comfy, but I'm still in the picnic ground, so we'll soon see after a few miles. And yeah, so let's get ready to ramble. Let's get ready to walk. Let's look at this. We've come out to the River Alde with the reeds in front of us, and then if I zoom in, you can just see there's this church, and that is, it's literally on sort of like an isolated little peninsula, and literally there's only sort of one way there. You go there and then you have to come back. So I'm heading there on the walk, and I know there's a house there called the Anchorage, and yeah, it is St Botolph's church. So I'll tell you a bit more about that when we get there. The ingredients of this walk are simple: an outward leg on a path along the shore of a reed-fringed estuary, the return on a forest track. This straightforward description overlooks features such as the fascinating history of Snape, its ancient bridge and the Maltings, which have been transformed into one of the finest concert venues in Europe. The area is of course inseparable from the name Benjamin Britten, who caught its atmosphere in his haunting music. And of course they hold the Aldborough Music Festival there as well. Yeah, very touristy part of Suffolk this, so Snake Maltings was yeah, a little bit too touristy and middle class for my liking. But I don't really fancy an oyster wrap or any designer clothing or anything, so yeah, it's not really for me. And all that modern art, I can't really make heads or tails of it, but this is more my cup of tea. So we're still on the Suffolk coast path. As I did this quite a few years ago. I remember doing this section, it was really nice, but I never, of course the footpath doesn't go up to St Botolph's church. and I remember the time I was really gutted. I was like, one day I'm going to go back there, so this is now. I'm doing this walk, so I'm looking forward to it. It's hard to imagine the Staithe here being busy with river traffic in the 18th and 19th centuries, when grain was loaded onto barges bound for London. Still following the Suffolk coast path along the River Alde towards St Botolph's Church. It's very busy out today. It is a Saturday, and they've got Iken canoe here as well, so you can hire out like canoes and, you know, paddle along the thing. There's paddle boarding going on as well. The rain looks like it might spoil all that though. It looks like it could rain, so I'm alright though, full waterproof, so we've left the riverside now after following the Suffolk coast path, and we've come out to this little lane, turned left, then we're turning left again up here, heading towards the anchorage and St Botolph's Church. Okay, we're at Iken Church, or St Botolph's. Often visited by pilgrims, it is a wonderful place for quiet reflection, and unlike many remote churches, is always open. It dates from 1450 and has a splendid font that escaped damage from bigots in the 16th and 17th centuries. It's very dark in here, but it is incredible. Hopefully you can make this out. It's going to keep focusing and auto-focusing, I'm afraid. You've got these like bare flint walls. Wow. Very, very sort of basic and simple, but I kind of like those churches, sort of your early churches. It's a sign of how old they are. You've got this font as well. Like I said, I don't know if you'll be able to see this in the light. It's really, really dark in here. I can't see any lights. No. Kind of reminds me of the font at Cove Height. As I say, not that you can really see any of this. That's probably the best place with the lights coming in, I'm afraid. I've been sitting in the dark here for about 10 minutes, and then I've just noticed on the floor here, what does that say? Light switch. Muppet. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle records that in AD 654, Botwulf began to build a minster at Ikenhoe. Better known as St Botolph, his minster or monastery was amongst the earliest to be established in East Anglia. At his own request, the local kings gave Botolph land in a waste and ownerless place to found his monastery, Iken, surrounded by marshes and heaths, was Ikenhoe. Under Boltoff's leadership, the early Christian community developed. Boltoff was later described as a man of unparalleled life and learning, full of the grace of the Holy Spirit. He died in 680 and was buried by his monks at Ikenhoe. In the winter of 869 to 870, Vikings raided East Anglia. They destroyed many monasteries, including Ikenhoe. In the 10th century, Boltoff's remains were removed from the ruins for safekeeping. The present church was later built on the monastery site and dedicated to St Boltoff. There's a Saxon cross here. Stanley West, then county archaeologist, made an exciting discovery in 1977. A large piece of stone built into the base of the church tower was a piece of an early stone cross. It is decorated with Anglo-Saxon interlace patterns and a mythical beast. Dating from the late 800s to early 900s, it would have been originally about 3 metres high. Such crosses are rare in Suffolk, and it may have been set up as a memorial to St Boltoff when his body was moved. And there you go, there's some pictures of the fragments. This is all that survives of the cross. The reconstruction right shows how it might have looked when newly made and painted. There's a little plan of the church as well. So it tells you sort of the date of each section. Also read in another book that I've been reading that in 1968, so skipping forward a few hundred years, in 1968 there was like tree felling going on nearby, and they lit a bonfire to burn the logs, and some sparks flew into the thatched roof of the church, and it literally destroyed most of like the nave, like the main section of the church, completely burnt it out. But they managed to restore it all. It took quite a few years for it to be restored and that. And I've just bought one of the guidebooks as well of the church, and there's some black and white photos of like the church sort of in that rundown state in 1968. Really interesting. But yeah, it's back fighting fit now, the church. It's a lovely little church. Okay, enough of me waffling on. Let's carry on with the walk. How lovely is this? At Anchor Farm, just near the church, there's a little self-service shop thing, and yeah, I don't know where you leave the money. I'll find somewhere. I'm going to get myself a can of Coke, I think. Here we go. Nice little surprise, that. Lovely. Giving you a 9 out of 10. I know this is going to set the YouTube world alight, innit? Bloke with dodgy beard drinks can of Coke in the middle of a lane in Suffolk. It's got like top of the pile written all over it, I know. That was a bit of sarcasm, by the way. Don't be fucking stupid. From Iken Church, I followed the lane back to sort of where I left the Suffolk coast path, carried on past there, and then followed the road, then turned left down Sandy Lane. It was quite sandy there. And followed it all the way around past a load of really nice little thatched cottages and farms. The road bends round sharply to the left there. We're going off this way along this footpath, and yeah, soon we'll be heading into Tunstall Forest, where hopefully I'm going to be able to find somewhere to wild camp tonight. I think this is what you'd call a quintessential Suffolk scene. You've got massive pig farm, you've got a sandy footpath, you've got some ferns over here, and then in the distance you've got some Scots pine trees. Honestly, it don't get more Suffolk than that. I must have seen this same scene 100 times on some of these Suffolk walks, but you know, something nice about it. It's got a unique character all of its own, isn't it? Just come out of this footpath over there by the free range pig farm, and I've turned sort of right and then straight away left, because there's a little finger post saying this is now the Suffolk coast path again. So we're heading down here, and from here, let me check the map, we'll be crossing over a little lane and then it's into Tunstall Forest. So far my navigating's been good. I haven't got lost, I've hardly had to use the route directions, I've just sort of had a quick butchers at the map and that's it. However, we're entering a forest, Tunstall Forest, and all that is probably about to change. On Tom Outdoors, I don't like forests. I always get lost in them, I always struggle to find a way through them. Hopefully this one isn't going to follow that tradition, we'll soon see. Okay, we're still on the Suffolk coast path and we've come out to this lane. We're crossing over that and heading into Tunstall Forest.